Genetics points the gun, environment pulls the trigger. We now have 500 pounds of chemicals available to be delivered to every man, woman, and child in this country on a daily basis. Our food supply is contaminated. Our water supply is contaminated. And people wonder why we have these problems neurologically. There is an absolute epidemic of low testosterone in young men. These guys are walking around depressed. They're sitting in the chairs. They can't focus. They can't do anything.
No one is talking about this. I saw a urologist. This was a few years ago. He was talking about, like, we're worried there's going to be another generation because the men don't have it.
It's because of school kids. It's the disruption of the hormones caused by the chemicals. Plastics are huge hormone disruptors. What's everybody drinking out of? Plastic water bottles. You've got to have a bisphenol to make plastics. They've been taking out BPA, but now they're using BPS, which is a bigger molecule that has a longer half-life than BPA, but somehow is magically less toxic. Teflon, it's a forever, it stays. Part of the way that the toxins involved is it blocks the receptor site on the cell. Your hormones are your cellular messengers. They're telling your body what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. If the message can't get through, they are doing you absolutely no good.
Welcome to the Deeper Healing Podcast. I'm your host, Danielle Howley. This is for everyone who's been dismissed, misdiagnosed, or told to just live with it and refuse to accept that answer. You're going to hear amazing patient recovery stories, raw and real in their own words. People who found answers after everything had failed them. You're going to hear from medical experts we trust that are pioneering new approaches to healing the body, because we deeply know we're designed to heal. Let's dig in.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to have you here today. And I have Dr. Michael Bauerschmidt and Danielle Howley. They are the co-founders of Deeper Healing Medical Center in Charleston, South Carolina. So we're going to talk about a big topic today. I know you're all fired up. Dr. B's over here to educate you guys. We have a mental health crisis happening in this country, and there's some stuff on the news. And, you know, we see a lot of people with mental health issues coming into Deeper Healing: ADHD, autism, anxiety, depression, neurodivergent, dyslexia. Like, it's just kind of everybody has something, it seems like these days. And it's very, I think, misunderstood and convoluted. It's just get on meds, you go to see these neurologists, you get the testing. And what do we do at Deeper Healing? We dig deeper. So Dr. Bauerschmidt is here. Danielle is here. We're going to break this down because we've helped a lot of people.
I'm chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
I'm chomping at the bit.
I think Danielle might fly out of her seat.
Please let her talk.
Go for it.
I just get so passionate about, you know, we have an epidemic in our country right now of just everyone's mental state is a mess. And, you know, there's all this pointing the finger of, you know, but we're pointing the finger at a lot of the wrong things and completely missing the elephants in the room. And, you know, when I'm talking to these parents with the, you know, the kids and then the teenagers and then the young adults, and then by the time they're in the workforce, I mean, we have an entire generation right now who are behind the 8 ball when they're born. And by 3rd grade, a large portion of them are on amphetamines, and they're not able to sit still. They're not able to focus. They have learning differences, anxiety, depression, goes into hormone disruption by the time they're teenagers. And all of a sudden they're like, I need an antidepressant. And I'm like, whoa, this kid's 15. He's already on 3 drugs. What is happening? You know, and then the parents are like, my kid's suicidal. What can we do? Go.
Well, Danielle, you've pointed out, you know, one of the basic flaws in our medical system, and that's we're so focused on treating an illness with a pill, and we're treating a symptom. We're not treating a cause. And so we're the equivalent of, you know, trying to put out a fire without arresting the arsonist. And we may put out the fire temporarily, we may get it under control, but the arsonist is just going to be freed out there to start another fire someplace else. And, you know, all these things to me just kind of boil down to neuroinflammation. You know, it's the inflammatory response the body has that's run amok. You know, you're supposed to be able to heal the body with the use of your immune system. Well, if your immune system's not working right, you're not going to heal right. But that, again, is what's the cause. And, you know, when I was let's take autism as an example. When I was in residency, I was in a family practice residency, and within the hospital, we had family practice, internal medicine, and pediatrics. One of the internal medicine residents had bought a house, and next to them lived an autistic child. Everybody, and I mean everybody, every resident in those programs wanted to get invited over to dinner so they could see what an autistic kid looked like and how they acted, because nobody knew. What is it now? 1 in 16, 1 in 18. It was one in 1,000 when I was in residency.
Yeah.
What's changed? What has changed in 40 years?
This is one generation.
Yeah. This is not a genetic issue.
Oh God, say that again.
This is not a genetic issue.
Because they're all looking at the genes.
Genetics points the gun, environment pulls the trigger. It's the environment that's at fault. Well, what has changed in our environment? Well, we've turned into a chemical society.
Mm-hmm.
We've turned into an indoor air pollution society. We've turned, because of building code changes going back to the 70s. Chemical manufacturing ran amok starting in 1948 with the development of C8, which later became Teflon in 1954. Since then, it's been every man for himself. We now have 500 pounds of chemicals available to be delivered to every man, woman, and child in this country on a daily basis. Our food supply is contaminated. Our water supply is contaminated. And people wonder why we have these problems neurologically. The inflammation is running amok.
So before I jump off a bridge, you're going to tell me that if I clean it up, I'm going to see a big change.
We can, yes. Now here's the deal. What do you have to clean up? Everybody's ability to handle toxicants is different. And, one of the probably major issues we have is that the intoxication of our society begins before birth.
Oh.
Where did mom grow up? What was mom doing? Again, in residency, it was rare to have a mom that was, unless you happen to be in the inner city in New York, it was rare to have a mom that was on drugs. Well, now it's very common, the maternal drug use.
Yeah.
Not to mention, what
and when you're
was
saying that
worded out.
Not like
not
heroin.
a drug,
Not like heroin.
drug
No,
user,
we're talking about they're on antidepressants
Right.
because they
Right.
are, these 30-year-olds and 20 and 30-year-olds that are having children
Yes.
grew up within this time frame where the use of chemicals and internal air pollution and external air pollution has just gone crazy.
I want to say something that I think is really important. A lot of people, you just said, like, what do they have? We used to run a test at Deeper Healing that would look at what are the chemicals in your body. It was a toxicity test. I think it was like a $400 test. And I think we did it for maybe 6 or 7 months. And one day you're like, we're not doing this test anymore.
Yeah.
Every single test on every single person that came in had a long list of chemicals in their body.
Back in the 80s, they did a study on newborns, and they checked for something like 360, I believe it was, different chemicals. Every last infant born had at least 180 something chemicals in their system already, gifted to them at birth.
So we're wondering why the kids are sick.
And we wonder why the kids are sick.
So
and these chemicals, I mean, they can be primarily inflammatory in their own, but if you think about, how is it that we even exist? And the bottom line to us is a thing called oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is inflammation. If you think about why are we alive, what is it that keeps us alive? And people say, oh, your breathing or your heart rate or whatever. But, it comes down to a very basic cellular chemical reaction called reduction oxidation. Reducing agents can donate an electron. Oxidizing agents can accept the electron. But then an electron goes from the reducing agent to the next oxidizing agent to the next reducing, and so on and so on. And that turns all our biochemical wheels in this thing called the Krebs cycle, which allows us to take 1 molecule of glucose and turn it into 26 molecules of energy. But because of the nature of that reaction, every time we produce a molecule of energy that keeps us alive, we're also producing an oxidant or an oxidized agent. Oxidation is the process by which we rust. So the very thing that keeps us alive is the very blueprint of why we can't live forever. We're basically slowly rusting. Well, anything that accelerates our rusting is going to age us quicker. It's going to cause us damage to our central nervous system or our heart or our lungs or our gut or our joints or whatever the issue is.
In my experience and practice, the three major areas that get affected first: central nervous system,
Okay.
immune system, and hormones.
Okay.
And these all feed into one another. As an example, there is an absolute epidemic of low testosterone in young men today. These guys are walking around depressed. They're sitting in the chairs. They can't focus. They can't do anything. And the thing is, they don't know they have low testosterone because they've never had the experience of what high testosterone feels like. So they have no idea that they're missing it.
No one is talking about
And
this.
nobody's talking about
No
it.
one is talking about
Yeah.
this. I saw a urologist. He was, this was a few years ago. He was talking about, like, we're worried there's going to be another generation because the men don't have it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
see it in
because
high
of-
school kids.
It's the disruption of the hormones caused by the chemicals. Plastics are huge hormone disruptors. What's everybody drinking out of? Plastic water bottles. And think, oh, I only use BPA-free bottles. Guess what? You've got to have a bisphenol to make plastics. They've been taking out BPA, but now they're using BPS, which is a bigger molecule that has a longer half-life than BPA, but somehow is magically less toxic. Teflon, it's a forever chemical. Once it's in you, it stays. Guess what it does? It disrupts your hormones. And even if you have an adequate level of hormones, part of the way that the toxins involve is it blocks the receptor site on the cell. Your hormones are your cellular messengers. They're telling your body what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. If you don't have them, or if the message can't get through, they are doing you absolutely no good.
So how do we reverse this problem? If we could have a megaphone on a mountain and whisper into every parent's ear that's having all of these struggles of, mental problems with their children and their teen, it would be simply cleanse them, get them cleaned up.
Yeah,
Lots of different ways to do that.
yeah.
Sauna, foot baths, lots of different things. And the second part of that would be looking for their deficiencies,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's hormones, copper, minerals. We really deep dive into what's going on with their body. And we calm their system down with our
Microcurrent neurofeedback. Mm-hmm.
And that trifecta of really digging into their systems, they blossom.
Yeah.
It's
You arrest the arsonist, you put out the fire.
And that's decreasing the inflammation.
And that's
at
decreasing the inflammation,
at the cellular level.
right?
So now the cells messengers
The
can
messengers can
in
get
and out.
through, and the neurotransmitters can be. Neurotransmitters are like hormones.
Yeah.
They're just in there telling the body, this is what I want you to do. Why does the brain exist? The brain exists as a predictive organ. It's predicting what you're going to do in the next few minutes and trying to choose the thing that's going to keep you alive longer. Take riding a bike, for example. The first time you got on a bike, you're all balling, but your body sooner or later started to learn that, well, if I go too far over this way, I'm going to fall. If I go too far this way, I'm going to fall. But if I stay right like this and pedal and just keep my cool, I stay upright and moving. And the brain learns to teach the body to do this. Well, that's what your brain's doing all the time, is it's learning what it needs to do to keep you alive so it keep you from falling off your bike. That's the purpose for the brain. There's also these little things called memory, which also are very helpful in remembering how to get on the bike and what to do once you're on the bike. All these things all take place, but it's really just it's a predictive organ to say what do I need to do to stay alive, along with handling all the but it's got to do all the processing of the information coming in through your eyes and your ears and your touch and your smell and your taste to also help with that predictive paradigm. So it's a fascinating organ, but you put a little match in there, light a little fire. It doesn't take much to screw things up.
So especially with like the anxiety and depression and ADD, like any kind of basically neurological issue.
Is you're looking at neuroinflammation. I don't care. Put whatever name you want on it. The diagnosis is not the disease.
But if people out there listening have been diagnosed with that and they're taking a medicine for that, they need to be thinking, okay, my brain has inflammation, my cells have inflammation. They're not communicating right.
Right.
And there's toxins out there that are lowering my hormones and I'm probably deficient. So I think that's where, because these doctors don't explain this stuff to people. They're just like, here's a med, here, you have this diagnosis, take this med. And then by the time they get to us, we're like, whoa, you're on how much? Like, what's happening?
Yeah.
So we got to kind of reverse engineer it. But I think if people understand, like, what we need to do and like the big picture, which you just kind of nailed it.
Yeah, like I think people, I mean, no one's doing deep dives on kids.
No.
You know, and
No,
I
they
when
don't
I
even
look,
test, by the way.
they are not testing the basics. And when I see some of the deep diving testing that we're doing on the children and the teenagers, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. And then you see them just a little bit longer making the changes, and they're like a different person. And the parents are like, this is amazing.
So
we,
let's
we just had we just had one kid, 22 years old, had a horrible birth experience. I mean, just everything has gone wrong for this kid throughout his life, drug abuse, and just can't get off the drugs, can't stay out. His testosterone level is like 300. 22-year-old should be 2,000. This kid hasn't got a snowball's chance in hell of getting rid of his depression, his anxiety, or his drug abuse until his testosterone level comes up.
And honestly,
Now, that may not be the only thing
I was
you
just going
need.
to say, and even if it might not be the only thing you need, it's like sometimes you need that step to be able to just feel different.
Yeah.
Like, I do feel different.
Yeah. Well, the two rules in the office, one, the diagnosis is not the disease, and two, it's always about everything.
Yeah.
You may identify one thing, and that's part of the puzzle, but it's not the whole puzzle.
Yeah.
It's not the whole jigsaw.
Yeah.
You got to get all the pieces in the right order in order to see the whole picture.
I mean, I've been watching these ads lately. I just told Dr. Bauerschmidt this, and you parents might have been noticing it. They're advertising forms of Viagra to college boys. It's like Roman, Blue Chew, and they're like, we'll send it in packaging you won't recognize. And I'm like, why do college kids need Viagra?
They shouldn't.
No, and this is why they do.
So why do we have so many men suffering with low T testosterone?
Well, to me, it's chemical.
Do you think,
to me, the big
there
implicator is plastics. Plastics are huge hormone disruptors.
So the plastics, or I didn't know if there was anything specific that it's like, no, I know of studies that link like this, like mold sometimes I know can really lower people's testosterone, the plastics, like is there any big ones?
Walter Crinan taught us both about environmental medicine. And his thing is, it's all about total body burden. And Dr. Bill Ray out of Dallas is the same way. It's a total body burden. And yes, it is plastics, but it's also the molds and the metals and the other chemicals and now the EMFs. As a matter of fact, Bill Ray actually was quite true. He says the EMFs are going to kill our young kids. The electromagnetic frequencies.
In what way?
Cardiac arrest.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just the electrophysiology behind it. He was afraid of that. But so I mean, it's all these things taken together. You can look at okay, I'm gonna quit drinking out of plastic water bottles. Don't expect your testosterone levels to rise. Because that's part of the problem. But it's always about the total body burden. Are you living in the moldy dorm? Likely, if you're in college, probably. Are you eating GMO food? Are you, is your diet full of processed, packaged, and preserved? If all these things all these things play a role. I mean, it's just as simple as, I'm going to go and get the carry out food. Even if it seems like decent carry out food, it's going to be, even if they put it in cardboard, there's going to be a plastic lining to that to keep the water from seeping out and help keep it warm by keeping the steam in. And you're getting the chemical lining from that paper into your system as well. I mean, we are being poisoned 7 different ways from Sunday.
I remember a study, and tell me if I'm wrong, I'm hoping you know this study, if not, but it was about the fish, and I think it was done in Clemson, where they were exposed to all the plastics in the water, and the fish, their sex actually changed.
Oh yeah, they can. Yeah. And
because of being exposed to all of the plastic toxins. That's how much of a phytoestrogenic effect that is it the estrogen in the plastics knocking down the testosterone? I mean, that's
it could, because the brain does. I mean, hormones are based on feedback loops. And the brain is monitoring hormone levels, and if levels are falling, it sends a message to the anterior pituitary to send a message to the end organ, whether it's the thyroid or the testes or the ovaries, to produce more of that particular hormone. Well, if the brain doesn't realize it's being tricked because of something like zearalenone, which is a mycotoxin that happens to be a very strong estrogen mimic,
or say something like atrazine, which is heavily used on corn products and will feminize a male frog.
Yeah.
Or, all these things, the brain gets fooled into thinking life is fine when it really isn't. So yeah, I'm sure there's probably more studies in the animal kingdom than I care to think about that shows how sex change can occur as a result of the presence of plastics or other chemicals.
Yeah. Well, let's go to, I want to hear, because I know a lot of people out there, we've talked about ADHD and toxin exposure and, what to do. Is this are we having a crisis with too many toxins in our society? And that's what needs to get dealt and not, or is it being overdiagnosed? Is it just being overprescribed? But I want people to understand, when they come to deeper healing, and what are you hearing from parents or young adults, or even, older adults have attention issues. And I want to just talk about ADHD, because I know we've helped a lot of people at deeper healing with that. And what do you hear when people call in? And then walk us through what's kind of the deeper healing journey with how they would start getting treated for improving their symptoms, and how long does it take to see symptoms? I know that's different for everyone, but give people just a snapshot of what is it like if I'm going to come to deeper healing and I really want to help decrease the neuroinflammation in my brain. I want to start feeling better. I want to get rid of the brain fog. I want more focus, clarity, because we're looking at the whole body. It's different.
The thing that excites me, and I think would excite other people, is, what I see out there is it's either a pill or it's a strategy for how to deal with your raging child, your impulsive teenager, your anxious kid. No one's actually even talking about healing them, healing the brain, getting them back to their natural self, living their best life. That's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to actually get them better, get them to their best self, and let them go live their lives. We're not trying to do a stopgap of strategizing how to deal with the rages or, their anxiety. So it's an intake. We're going to look at their whole history all the way to birth, which I think is really cool. We'll do a deep dive into, and no one's doing that. We'll really look at their blood work and what's going on with them, their exposures. If the doctor or the practitioner suspects mold or high chemical levels or heavy metals or whatever, they'll test for it and they'll say, okay, we got an issue here. And then we'll reverse those things, clean them up. And the microcurrent neurofeedback, I can't even talk about how incredible that is. And what's fun about it is you're passive. It takes about 20 minutes, but you feel it not only as you're going through it, but even the teenagers, I see the teenagers, they make their own appointments. They're they enjoy coming in. They enjoy talking to our practitioner because she's awesome. And they also feel their anxiety drain away. And as they're going through the course, and it's intended to become more spread out and sustainable, eventually they don't need the treatment anymore. It just kind of sticks. And you can talk to the science of that.
Yeah, explain what micro neurofeedback is, because most people don't understand what it is. So give us the breakdown.
Microcurrent neurofeedback, and it's the official name is IASIS microcurrent neurofeedback. It was developed University of California, San Diego, with he's not doctor, forgive me, Barry Bruder was the founder of the company. And what they did is they looked at the folks coming back from the Middle East with the traumatic brain injuries and the PTSD. So we had real disease, and they did magnetic EEGs and functional MRIs and looked at the brain and saw what areas weren't working as well. And they determined that the delta waves, which are one of the brain waves that are used and that are found in the brain, which are normally kind of low amplitude, low frequency, low amplitude waves, were almost non-existent. They're being squashed out. The IASIS microcurrent reestablishes that communication. So looking at it a slightly different way, your brain ordinarily, of the trillion cells in your brain, any one of them should be able to talk to any other one of them with no more than 3 degrees of separation. So it'd be like playing telephone with the three of us. Well, you put in some kind of damage, whether it's emotional, mental, physical, chemical, and now all of a sudden we've got 7 people playing telephone because the brain's not going to be able to do that direct communication anymore. It's got to find alternate
Oh, that's a
circuitry.
good way to put it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now we've got, and if you ever played telephone with 7 people, what comes out of your mouth, the first person does not come back to you after the 7th person in the same way it went. So the brain starts not working well. And what they found with the IASIS microcurrent neurofeedback is that it reestablishes those delta wave patterns to a more normal level. And not only did the brain become easier and quicker to think about, but people lost their addictions. They no longer depended on the things. They were eating better, and they were feeling better, and they were sleeping better. So, in general, to kind of go back to the overall overarching treatment, medications may be necessary in the short run just to keep symptoms under control but you're trying to put out the fire without finding the arsonist.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And what we want to do is we want to find and arrest the arsonist and put out the fire.
So I want to say something about that because it's very hard to find. I've had a lot of parents call and they're like, we're having all these bad side effects.
Talking about meds?
Yeah, the meds. And the doctor will say, oh, your anti-anxiety medication is causing you suicide ideation. We have another pill for that. And the parents are like,
okay.
Hold. No. We need something different.
Mm-hmm.
And what I love is while you're using something for a short-term fix, or they're coming in already medicated, we have a medical brain program where you can wean down and someone's supervising it.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know where to go when they're like, you're transitioning to this healing modality. How do you then find the balance of weaning down? And that's something that we offer that I think is also very unique, that we have expertise in doing both of those together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's go back, because a patient comes to you and they want to get, help for getting off their meds or, for their ADHD. So they're going to go through a whole full workup with the practitioner. You're going to run some blood work. You're going to dig deep. You're going to see, do we have a mycotoxin exposure? Could it be a viral exposure causing inflammation? Like, what are other things that could cause inflammation that you may potentially test for?
Well, again, go back to that basic equation we talked about earlier. Anything that puts a tax on that system is going to create more inflammation. So if you're having if you're having a poor diet, if you got a diet rich in processed, packaged, and preserved foods, you got crummy fuel coming in, the exhaust coming out is going to be even worse. So cleaning up the diet is something you can do at home that is going to be contributing not only to your health, but is also, if you're not maintaining a good diet, is certainly going to contribute to your illness. Emotionally, I mean, these kids are anxious. They don't know what's wrong with them. They feel something's wrong. They're not like every other kid in class. The parents are anxious. They don't know what to do with their kid. And they're suffering as well. And that whole stress situation in the house is going to interfere with their ability to heal. So learning, parents need to learn some coping skills along with the kids. Environmentally, this is what do you need to do at home is what everybody should be doing anyway. And clean air, clean food, clean water. You need a good water filter. And I'm not talking about the one on your refrigerator.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm talking about something that complies with some ANSI standards that removes not just the chlorine and the sediment stuff, but removes the chemicals and removes the heavy metals and removes, in Charleston here, we have 1,4-dioxane in our water supply. This was the Aaron Brockovich chemical. This is carcinogenic. Now, the EPA hasn't set a safety standard for this stuff, so they don't check for it, but it's in our water supply. It's considered to be 0.2 parts per million is dangerous. We're well over that.
I did not know that.
I didn't either, and that angers me. Anyway, I'm going to talk about water here.
And not to and let me go a little further on this one, because now we also have radioactive elements in our water supply, thallium and cesium. I see routinely in people, and it's simply because there's these little things like the nuclear A-bomb testing in the atmosphere back in the 40s and the 50s, and you throw in a Chernobyl here and a Fukushima there and a 3 Mile Island over there, and all of a sudden we have radioactivity in our water supply that needs to come out. There's only one filter I know of that gets rid of that.
Okay, I want to give him a little little hope here, because anyone who's who's listening to this and is like, oh my God, there is a free guidebook that Dr. B wrote, is absolutely free on our website, that has all the live links for every single product that he loves, that he knows works. And we always update. If we're making a change, we'll update it on social media. And it's also same that you were saying in our previous episode, which is we have it for, I'm literally a kid living in an apartment. All the way to a whole, like, here's a pitcher that actually filters, a water bottle that filters, all the way to your whole house. So it doesn't have to be expensive.
And there's also air filters.
Yes,
and
the air,
see, your job, I hear Walter Crinion, who taught Tiffany environmental medicine. Avoidance is your job in the real world. And that's clean air, clean food, clean water. So, you have a HEPA filter and, you have a room air HEPA filter. You have a pleated air filter for your HVAC system. You have your air ducts cleaned out every couple of years. You're going to have better air quality indoors. You're going to reduce pollution. You have a good water filter, and you choose your food. You eat organic as much as possible. You get rid of the processed, packaged, and preserved. All these things reduce that inflammation, that inflammatory response. It slows our rusting process. And that rusting process in the brain is showing up now with all these myriad things. And I would posit even to the point of some of the sexual identity stuff and just the chronic fatigue. And
there's no doubt that is a chemical. That is definitely, we have an entire generation of gender confusion, and everyone's always yelling at social media. And I've seen them like the kid's 3 years old. This isn't social media.
No.
This is chemical. This is a chemical physical problem.
Yeah. This is life in our world as it exists now.
Yes.
There was no such thing as this in my day.
I know. This is not genetic.
Boys were boys and girls were girls, and we played. That's all there was to it.
And it's literally, and you can have a lot of compassion when you realize, like, oh, this is an actual chemical physical reality.
Yeah.
It's
nobody's. It's not the patient's fault. It's not the kid's fault. It's not even the parents' fault. It's not. Parents like to blame themselves too.
I see it,
and it's not necessary, and it's not even accurate.
Mm-hmm.
You do the best job you can, but we have to be aware, and I hope I'm scaring people into taking action. And it doesn't take much, and you don't have to do everything all at once. Pick one thing that you can do. Quit buying the potato chips, and if you want to have potato chips, go out and buy an organic potato, slice it up, throw a little olive oil on it, and put it in the oven with a little salt, and let it bake. Make your own.
There's never been a better time to learn. YouTube, everything. There's so many fun people showing us how to eat better, healthy. Yeah. Obviously, we have coaches, we have medical professionals that can help. We offer a lot of resources for free on all our social platforms and also the guidebook itself. And we will continue to do that. We'll probably have an environmental course, but I love when you say, because it does feel very overwhelming in the beginning when you're making changes. It's just, you do one thing at a time.
Yeah, it's the little micro changes that you make that over time add up. And don't try to get overwhelmed. Just pick one thing. Okay, this month, let's focus on healthy, clean water.
Yeah.
That's a big deal. Your body's made of water. Your cells are bathing in water. If you're drinking out of your faucet, if you're drinking out of the fridge, if you're buying bottled water, it's this constant exposure that is just inflammation, and your body's overwhelmed. So as soon as you say, you know what, I'm going to clean that up, your cells start, it's crazy. Just switching people's water sometime, I don't know if it's happened to you, they will start to detox.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, I feel even worse drinking this clean water. It's because your body's finally dumping out all the other stuff. And it's like, okay, well, maybe slow down on drinking the good water. Has that ever happened? I'm serious. Oh my gosh. I've seen it happen to my people.
And
a lot.
It's just like turning my cell phone off and putting it, keeping it away from my bedside at night and getting the TV out of my room. I start to detox because the EMFs are no longer sitting in there screwing everything up, making things worse again. So people oftentimes feel, and people come in for our 2-week Stay and Heal program. And I'll tell them day one, I said, by the end of this first week, you're probably not going to like me very much. But by the end of the second week, you're going to have a different opinion.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because oftentimes you will feel worse before you get better.
Yeah. You start dislodging toxins and pulling them out. The toxins, so weird. Sometimes people are like, what do you mean toxins are in me? But different toxins like heavy metals and molds and all sorts of just the plastic. They get lodged. They have a high affinity to certain tissues. So they can get in your
Right.
bones. They can get in your liver. They can get in your kidneys. They can hide in the cell membrane, which is fat. They like fat.
And let's just talk about microplastics here for a second.
No.
You know, because of the processed packaged and preserved food world that we're living in and all the plastics that are used in the storage of that food in our water and all, we're getting the equivalent. If you're on a standard American diet, the SAD diet, you're getting the equivalent of a credit card's worth of plastic every week.
It's crazy to think.
They have found these microplastics in coronary artery plaque, in carotid artery plaque. And listen, guys, when they go in for the penile prosthesis because of erectile dysfunction that doesn't respond to all those drugs, guess what they find in the penile tissue?
No way.
Microplastics.
Oh.
University of Miami. University of Miami did that study.
Holy cow. I had no
That'll get
idea.
them to stop drinking water.
Yeah. I'm like, we might get a whole house system now. Honey, did you know this?
Yeah, it's true. It is true.
That's
Absolutely
crazy to
true.
think about.
Published data.
No, I want to take it back for a second. Back to the kids, all of the kids and the teenagers and the young adults that are dealing with all this brain stuff. So avoidance obviously is a big part of it, and parents can help with that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the parents, we see because their kids are not well, they're doing a lot of the things already. They're doing a lot of the diet and stuff, and they're still. But I remember something you told me that was very shocking to me, and I've seen it. Our youngest patient at Deeper Healing was an infant with severe eczema.
Mm-hmm.
And you said to me, this is a child being born with an autoimmune condition.
Yeah.
We did not used to have children born with eczema. It's an epidemic now.
Mm-hmm.
It's an epidemic. All these babies have eczema.
Well, how old is the moms?
Yeah, no, I get it. So it's rolling downhill.
Yeah.
You take your baby with a skin condition to the pediatrician. It's steroids and hydrocortisone cream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This kid was doing that for a year, and they had to literally strap her arms down because she was scratching so much, and it was so severely painful.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, God, if parents were clued in sooner, like there's some red flags going on. And then I see this new thing that I'm seeing now in the younger kids. Like I've seen it in 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds. I saw a kid the other day, he was 10, with these really dark circles.
Mm-hmm.
I never used to see kids like that before.
The allergic shiners.
Yep.
Yes. So if these are things, if you're hearing this and you're like, my kid's got a lot of anxiety, he's got a lot of stuff going on in school, he's having social issues, he's having impulse control. Oh yeah, he's got the dark circles. Oh yeah, he had a lot of eczema, a lot of skin problems. He's a perfect fit for Deeper Healing. There's a lot that can be done for these children. They can heal. That's the great thing about youth, is when you give their bodies the opportunity, they bounce back really fast. It's amazing to watch. And I love with the Brain Align that the parents are like, it's working. Oh my gosh. Because they'll really start to notice them not having their breakdowns, or they're focusing and they're doing better, or they're just doing the chore that they asked them to do. Or, they'll start to notice the little micro changes way faster than the teenager will.
And again, we have to look at the neurofeedback, the IASIS neurofeedback as putting out the fire, but we still, please remember to arrest the arsonist. It doesn't remove the responsibility of making sure there's clean air, clean food, clean water. And there's an ongoing, since it is always about the total body burden, it's a total accumulation of toxins throughout lifetime. Not only can we help you get rid of what you've already developed, but we want to teach you how to keep from reaccumulating them in life and what you can do to maintain a clean, healthy body. And it's not that hard once we get you cleaned up.
No, and these teenagers, what's nice? I had a conversation with a mom the other day about her teenager, and she's like, I can't tell him anything. I'm like, oh, girl, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
I can't tell my teenager anything. So what's nice about Deeper Healing is we will teach them. We will teach them. Yeah. Don't fall in the hole with the vape. Don't fall in the hole with, thinking your phone is fine and you can just, leave it plugged in all night right next to your head, or sleep with it, or, all the things. Like, we'll definitely, and, it's like, look, everybody loves a little ice cream or Chick-fil-A. It's just not all the time. these kids, they get a little freedom. They get their driver's license. They're like, I'm going to go and just go get, the junk. And we'll remind them that, junk's okay sometimes. We're all living in the world. Believe me, I'll eat junk sometimes. But 80% of the time, I'm really good. I try to eat really well and make food and, try to not have my lettuce come in plastic, simple things.
Yeah.
So it is a triangulation to have sustained healing, which is always our goal. Our goal is to get you better
And keep you there.
And fly away.
Yeah, I would love that you never come in to see me and I never have to see you again.
We're going to do a whole campaign called Never Be My Patient, and it's all going to be about doing those small changes at home that, the parents, it's great when the kids are little because you control the environment. It's wonderful. Gets really hard, much harder when those aren't well-established habits and the kids don't know better when they get older, because then they're like, you're crazy.
And we have had some moms that have come in, and the kids are now early teens, mid-teens, and they started at a young age eating clean and knowing about what to avoid, and they have absolutely no interest in the Chick-fil-A's and the McDonald's and the burger death and the I'm sorry.
Hysterical. That's hysterical. That is a really good point. It is part of palate.
So there are things that parents can do for their kids early on that can last them a lifetime. But again, I just encourage parents not to blame themselves if they haven't, or to try to take responsibility for events they had no control over.
Yeah.
And
I have to say, I did a million things wrong. And my kids are in their 20s. I've had a learning evolution, not only with deeper healing, but through all the years before that, dealing with chronic sickness in my family. And I can remember, like, even when Gavin was born as a premature newborn, I was like, these chemicals can't be good for this baby. I had like an awakening. I was a product of the 70s. Everything was chemicals. And I think the young people now, I don't know what you think. I think they're getting smarter. They seem to be a lot more like using the Yucca app. Like I see them. They're out there like checking what are the ingredients in this? And like, what's a good self-tanner that's not toxic? I'm like, yay. Oh my
and the
God,
answer to
look
that
at
is
you.
none.
No, there are. There are. Yes,
It's called sunlight.
Of course. But I see there's a lot of them talking about the sunscreens and they're trying to be smart shoppers, and I'm like, oh, these kids are smart. This is a new generation of shoppers.
And I think they are a little bit more curious because they're just on social media so much, and they just want to learn, and they want those little fast tips. We just got to get the right algorithms in front of them.
Yeah, we got to make sure the information they're receiving is correct and not just tilted towards selling your next best product.
I know, the TikTok shop.
Yeah.
Well, this was great. Thank you guys so much for being here. And for those out there listening, we do have a Deeper Healing medical brain ADHD program. So it's specifically designed for ADHD. It'll work too if you have some other mental health issues, but we've really tried to dial in and hit the ADHD community because it's just rampant here, especially locally in our Charleston area that we've seen. And we know that we can help these children and I think we're doing younger children and teens, right? So
we're one of the
our practitioner on staff is just amazing. It really helping the parents navigate. And with the Brain Align, which I don't think you mentioned, but they're like electrodes that you put on your head as the neurofeedback. So, and is it a 10-week or a 12-week program?
There's different, whatever the practitioner will recommend.
Okay.
Most people will start off with the 10.
Generally, you want 10 sessions, and
Okay.
it's twice a week for 5 weeks is ideal.
Perfect.
So on the deeperhealing.com, you can go under medical programs and you'll see the medical brain program information. And under the healing services, there's the Brain Align page. Really cool science for people who are into that. And in the podcast notes, we'll put the guidebook link and any other resources around what we're talking about today. But just, leaving it with, know that there is so much more that can be done to help your family be sustainably well and age well. with your mind.
Mhm.
You know, we do not have to
Yeah.
settle for
Yeah.
aging.
I want to be rounding third, heading in the home with a chicken wing in one hand and a beer in the other, going, "Damn, this was fun. Can we do it again?" And not in a
Yeah.
wheelchair drooling on myself with an IV sticking in me.
Exactly. Amen to that.
Yes.
That's a perfect close.
Stay-
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for joining, and we'll see you next time.
We hope this episode inspired you. Here's how to go deeper. Visit deeperhealing.com to become a patient. Online, we have loads of courses and a free toxin quiz. Subscribe and please, please share this episode with someone who needs it. It's always that one-on-one support that really gets people to find deeper healing. Remember, this is educational content, not medical advice. The information shared here should be discussed with your own personal healthcare provider. If you're excited by listening to the medical experts or the personal recovery stories on here and you want to start your own deeper healing journey, go to deeperhealing.com and start your process.